Uh, I uh, actually growing up, I uh, I think I played too many computer games. I wanted to have like my own private army. I wanted to be a mercenary and like all that. Definitely a gaming effect. Then I got into just so when I was 13 years old, I heard Green Day, Linkin Park, Nickelback, all your like rock bands.
Right.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a musician. So I wanted to be a rock star all the.
One, two, three, four.
Yo.
Welcome back to the Green Talk. I'm your host, Mizraim. And today's conversation is one I have been looking forward for a while because it touches something that is changing our industry, whether we're ready or not. And that's technology. But not technology for the sake of noise, real technology. Technology that saves times, saves money, and creates clarity. And in landscaping, clarity is everything. Because if the map is wrong, then the estimate is wrong. If the estimate is wrong, then the labor is wrong. If the labor is wrong, then the margins disappears. Today, I have with me someone helping reshape that reality. He is the CEO and co-founder of SiteRecon, a company bringing AI into the green industry in a practical way. From engineering roots at the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, to building tech companies and now helping contractors see properties before ever stepping on site, his journey is built on first principles, thinking and solving real operational pain points. Utkarsh, welcome to the Green Talk. It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Raymond, for that wonderful introduction. I'm doing great. Very excited to talk to you this morning.
Great, thank you, Utkarsh. It's been a pleasure to be able to have the time to coordinate time between India and the U.S. And thank you for your effort on that part. We're going to have a great conversation, and I'm pretty sure the listeners are going to understand better how SiteRecon works and what offers. And but before Utkarsh, we start talking about SiteRecon and mapping and how it's changing how contractors estimate. I want to go back. I want to go back on the time, and I would like to talk about who was Utkarsh growing up. What kind of kid were you?
When you say a kid, I feel like I'm back to being 5-year-old, 10-year-old, um, and and I was a timid kid, man. Like um, I was shy. But I was deeply curious. Like I was so hungry for knowledge all the time. I would read a lot. So I would be in the third grade and I would know stuff from the fifth grade and sixth grade. Not all subjects, but history,
Right.
math. Like some things I would just know very, very ahead of where I was in age because of curiosity. I think I'm very blessed to have wonderful parents who gave me the right set of values when I was young, um, and I think that value alignment has been sort of key to my hunger for knowledge. And when I'm like looking out and reading stuff, it just like goes and fits into the right spots, almost like as if I needed it in some ways. Um, I was very competitive. I you know I was not I was not very tall or very strong as a kid. Um, so learning sports was a matter of like repetition. I was just like I would go down every day and I was just like try to throw the ball and like get my arm to go the right way so that I could play cricket with my friends. Same thing with badminton. Um, but I was competitive. Like with football, one time my team was like ahead 7-0 in goals. And this ball was headed towards our goal, like you were about to go to 7-1, just like, but we would still lead. And I was so desperate to prevent that goal from happening that I, accidentally stepped on the ball and I fractured my hand when I fell down.
Oh,
And so I I tell that story because I I also like took it far when I was just going through my repetitions, um, and I think all of that has sort of contributed to how I look at business today.
amazing, man. Interesting stories, right? When we go back on time and kind of remember all these stories when we're school playing sports and things like that. That's awesome. And talking about, obviously you as a kid, your mind was already, all over the place and looking for new stuff. So where did engineering enter your life? There was a natural curiosity, maybe someone in your family, or how that happened?
Yeah, you're right. Like both my on my mom's side, my granddad, he's an engineer. My dad's an engineer, and I think it also comes from the society. If you want to get married, have a good job in India, especially, yeah, you gotta go and get some engineering degree at a good college. So I was, following the path that is sort of laid out for you. You do good at maths, you get into a good college, you get a good job. And so in that, if you are competitive, you just, look at engineering and you say, okay, where can I go with that? And that's how I ended up being at IIT. Um, uh, yeah, so
Cool.
it's just like trying to nerd out, and being the best at what you could do, and that was sort of the path.
So we can say it is in the blood, family, it comes to the generations. And being on the Institute of Technology Delhi is not small. It's like it's a huge thing. So talk to us about those years. How was those years on the institute for you? How that reshape you moving forward?
I think the biggest thing college did for me was just give me a sense of humility. Because the thing about IIT is uh, kids who study, keep their heads down and study, come from all over the country. You would find them coming from different backgrounds, different means, different cultures, um, but all sharing this hunger for knowledge, which is like what you have, and then you see beyond all the your own personal biases. You try to look at a guy, and if he's not wearing the right clothes, you would think, I don't want to hang out with him. But hey, what do you know? This guy tops the class. He comes out with all like the good ideas for research products, research projects, and you get respect for the guy. So I think that was the biggest lesson for me. Um, just getting past that, because the thing about India is extremely heterogeneous. So there are so many languages, so many different cultures. We are like 1.5 billion people, so you can imagine a country that
Wow.
big and like 1,500 languages. And
You
so
say
like
1,500 languages?
1,500 languages.
Okay.
Yeah. And those are languages with like scripts, with their own scripts and like very specific grammar. So it's very diverse. So you just like do not assume that people are generally your people.
Right.
But when you get to college, you realize like, oh my God, we are like very similar.
Yeah. Wow. And just out of curiosity, how many students were in your class when you attend the institute?
Uh, Yeah, in my batch, so 2011 engineering undergraduates was a batch of 850 students,
Okay.
um, and about like 300 in postgrad and 100 in PhD. I think it was about 1,300, 1,400 group of students.
Okay, awesome. And do you always know that you will build companies, or that was kind of in your mind at early stage, or the entrepreneur mindset find you?
Uh, I uh, actually growing up, I I think I played too many computer games. I wanted to have like my own private army. I wanted to be a mercenary and like all that. Definitely a gaming effect. Then I got into just so when I was 13 years old, I heard Green Day, Linkin Park, Nickelback, all your like rock bands,
Right.
and then I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a musician. So I wanted to be a rock star. All I think even after a year or so after I got into IIT, I actually tried to make it happen.
Okay.
Had like my own group of like, oh, you're gonna play the drums, you're gonna play the guitar. We had a band, we called it Zanskara. Um, I
Sanskara.
was on the Zanskara, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Um, I was on the keys, um, but I think by the time I got to the junior year at college, I realized like I really like to just build things, um, and that opened up this possibility that probably entrepreneurship is the right thing. I never actually created my own resume in college, so I never sat for a job or anything like that because that clarity had sort of come.
Mhm.
Um, I I never worked anywhere apart from the companies I built. Um, After that, but I also knew like I couldn't come up with a business idea just sitting on my chair. So I let that sort of come to me. In the meantime, I tried to become a civil servant in the government because that seemed like this exposure to just knowledge and ability to impact things in the society. Um, but again, like if you think IIT is difficult, like clearing a government service exam in India is like it's 100 times harder. So I
Yeah.
never made it through.
I know. So I mean, the honestly, the competition, the wish, the desire of success, and be somebody and build something. I will say it is on the culture, maybe of majority of the Indian people. Is that right?
That's fair to say.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
I think we've all had this generation before us, and they have taken the country from where it was like let's say 1947 when we just got our freedom, and after like centuries of colonialism, there was this time in 1960s when we had this. The news used to be that a ship full of grains has arrived in the country from America from like these other places, um, and when my aunt got married, my father's elder sister, my granddad had to procure like bags of sugar for the sweets that were to be made at her wedding
Mhm.
in the black market because the government was like rationing sugar, how much sugar you could just like go and buy in these shops. So it was like this prototype of Soviet era economies where like the government controls everything, and that was
Okay.
sort of the scenario in which my grandparents, my parents grew. Um, and so the value of hard work and just like saving, and not just spending but investing, not just with money but with time, um, and the importance of just like studying and um, doing the right things.
Mhm.
I think that's definitely very very ingrained in us, because otherwise there's also this fear, right? Because if you live in a country with that kind of population, you also see poverty, um, not that infrequently, uh, and so it's real.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, and it's great, man. Because it builds great people, and like you, I met a couple weeks ago. I was on a travel for work, and I was having my breakfast in the restaurant. I mean, in the hotel in the morning, and I met a couple guys from India. They do engineering from for BMW in South Carolina factory, and they were here in America and the U.S. for a month or so. They just came to this plant to do some design. They gave me an explanation that I have no idea what they're talking about, but sounds very complicated. But in my mind was like, wow, every people I know, like all these big companies about technology, it comes from India, and it's great. It's great that now we can learn a little bit of why that kind of nature of just surviving and trying to be better of the previous generation. That's awesome. That's awesome. And particularly for yourself, Utkarsh, it is a difference between build something or build product and build a solution. So where was that moment from you, that transition of just build a product, and then when you decide that was the moment to build solutions?
When you ask someone to pay money for what you've built, that's when you realize you got to solve a problem for them. Whether you solve it through a product or you solve it through like a combination of product and service being a full solution, you have to get them to a solution one way or the other.
Right.
Otherwise, like you don't have a place in the economy, you don't have a place in their lives, in their work. So that it's just trying to find your place and your value is also, I think part of it is just being real, not being attached to, I have this idea about what things should be, but the thing has to be valuable at the end of the day.
Right.
So being attached to that and not just to like idea of what I want it to be. I think that's the moment.
That's the thing. Awesome. And so before we moving forward in the timeline, now we getting more into your when you start building companies. So before SiteRecon, you build other companies. So what was the first lesson that you learned about technology, building these companies before SiteRecon?
I think more than technology, the most important lesson was like technology is always an enabler in things, but what you're trying to do is like make things happen. You're showing up at a job site at 9 a.m. in the morning. You have to get like cameras attached everywhere in this building. You want to know you know that by the evening, video analytics have to be running on the system here. You need to be able to see that the result of like perimeter monitoring, intrusion detection, face recognition on the phone. You need to have the whole system running by the end of the day. And you just arrived on this property and your subcontractor did show up. The guy who's supposed to fit the cameras, and the thing has to go live today. And so from that moment at 9 a.m. in the morning, 115 calls in the middle, and then at 8 p.m., making sure that thing actually worked. I learned this from Shiva, who was my co-founder at Attentive. This thing he used to say, look for your Zen. Like we are all looking for our Zen at the end of the day. Like what makes us say that this was a day well spent? And that was the first thing that I learned. And then, because technology, just using technology came to us more intuitively than people around us, that became like a vehicle for us to deliver value in the economy. And we were just like looking for ways to just be useful.
Interesting. And there were during this time a moment where you almost take the decision of quit and say, I'm done with entrepreneur. Let's move to something else. That happened to you and anytime?
It happened once. And that was a time when at my last startup at Attentive, I was not seeing eye to eye with my co-founder. And we were just going through this realization that we are probably not the best at talking to each other about what we see should happen in the company. And we have drifted apart from each other in terms of like where we see value in the market and where the company has to go. And so, when we parted ways, it was like this time when I was like, well, I'm not sure I want to do this again. Um, uh, 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 but I think there were promises that I had made um, to people that we would build something for them that just kept me going from that point. Uh, had like probably this thing had to exist.
Right.
Is what made me go through it.
They keep going, keep moving.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is besides that, there is something else that overall help you to stay grounded when the pressure hits, when you feel like I cannot do it anymore, but you find a way to just keep moving forward. There is something else that help you to go through that.
Yeah. I think I feel very grateful for the fact that no matter um, what happens, um, I will likely have a belly full of food, a roof over my head, and people who would still love me. So family does keep me going on. And then it's the same thing probably that I want, that others have the luxury, or like just this should be normal for everyone. Like it's not it shouldn't be something that only a few have like this should just be a normal state of things. I think that's the other part to it that keeps me going.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, we all share that feeling one way or another, right? When we struggle, family, all the good things we have, we're going back to probably the times where we were kids and struggling with our parents and all that, and we just decide to keep moving, right? So this, I cannot go back. I can stop. I just need to keep going through this, and we found a way to do it. The place where I came from, we call this like survival mode, right? We just find a way to keep going. There is not I can't. It's not an option. Period. Right. So
well said. Well said.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep moving forward. Now let's start talking about the fun stuff. SiteRecon. So this is where things get interesting because for many people, and maybe in reality, landscaping and AI don't usually belong in the same sense, right? It's like landscape and AI. What's going on here? But here we are, right? We are on a time where, as an industry, we are relying on AI for a lot of things. So, where the idea of SiteRecon come from?
Came from Devin at Rainbow Ecoscience. The guys who produce TrimTech.
Yes. I know them very well.
So it's a very interesting company. They are arborists going out and applying chemicals. But then they also have this, chemical product division. So arborists, they learn GIS, and they know, like, to take care of trees, you need to have inventories. And because these guys take care of shrubs, they were looking for an inventory of shrubs. And they found they found a couple of 25-year-old guys who at the time were mapping buildings and roads from satellite images, because we felt that was the inventory, that is the valuable data product in the market,
Right.
especially because companies like Google Maps, Apple Maps, all these guys, they were updating their navigation data sets And someone has to put that data into the map. Only then you can like drive your car on it. And that's what you were doing. And these guys were like, why won't you map shrubs on the property? Like, why do you need to do that? It's like, that's how we estimate labor and material, which was not apparent to us at right when they said it. But as we pulled out that thread, it became obvious that we could do something really cool here. And so all credit to them for triggering that train of thought.
Awesome. So now I know where everything starts, huh? Awesome. So that pretty much tell us why landscaping, right? That's probably where you get the idea first. But why don't explore that in other industries? Do you ever think about that, or you just stick with landscaping?
No, it was a combination of elimination that we were running on other industries.
Okay.
So we tried out property insurance. And so you got like, 30, 40, 50 companies really big, but they insure like so many properties. So it's hard for us to actually get through that sales process as upstarts. Then you got something in roofing, where you got contractors just looking at, these roof shapes and how do you keep like the roofs in good shape, build it fast. Anyway, so in roofing, it had become a contested space, and patent wars had started. Like people had started patenting, oh, this is how I do my roof analysis, and I don't want you to try. And I was like, oh, let's stay away from that.
Yeah.
And landscaping, the good thing was everyone was so open to talk to, like, oh, here's my problem. I remember this conversation we had with Nate Hyde, who's now the president at Mainscape. And he literally sat me down and he taught me, like, dude, this is how you measure turf. This is how you measure beds. And by the way, you got to count the tree rings because we're going to mulch those things as well. And these are the hard edges. These are the soft edges. And it's not just him. After him, ran into Michael Mayberry, if you know Level Green. He was the CTO there. Ran into a bunch of guys at the Lorna Landscape Tech Conference, the first one in 2020, right before COVID. And just the enthusiasm for this technology. And I had nothing with me. I was standing there with a pamphlet and a prototype that did not work. And I was selling this idea that we're going to map properties for you. And everybody was like,
Okay.
oh, yeah, like,
Who is this guy?
yeah, who's this guy? Why? How? And yeah, I mean, imagine COVID hitting and me being across the world, and being able to sell, the openness of people to accept someone from across the world, selling them stuff and trusting him and paying him money to do it, is just like that's. Dude, like that's before the co-working and work from home and this globalization moment we have had during COVID. This is before that.
Yeah. Crazy idea.
And yeah, I guess so. Somewhere, you all pulled us in, and we didn't feel like we had to do anything else after that. It was just an upward journey.
Awesome. And so, now talking about the problems on let me I'm going to pause here a little bit. So really interesting what you're saying, how everything started with Rainbow, and then what kind of keep you on the industry, why landscape versus the roofing or some other industry. It's really interesting, and let me share this with you because I learned this few years ago. The power of networking, of knowing people, and get connections and ask questions and be willing to accept the recommendations and the suggestions of others. That's pretty much how everything started with you. Just all the people making suggestions and you trying to find the solution for that. So that's great. That's awesome, man.
We have a saying here in India. It's like, how do you know that you got free will or it's all grace?
Huh.
We debate this concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing that comes up is, ev- even if, let's say, grace is like rainfall, it's just like falling all the time. But if you can only catch hold of it if your bowl is like this, but you can't catch hold of it if your bowl is upside down. You got to be open to accept it's coming at you all the time.
It's awesome.
And yeah, that's literally what you say.
Yeah, that's that. Oh, thank you for putting it that way. That's really cool. Better way to explain it. So you have the idea, you have the concept. Now, what was your obsession? Oh no, I don't want to say obsession, but what was your intention to solve when you see the industry, maybe the challenge? So, what was the purpose of solving with SiteRecon?
I think the surprising thing for us was how long it took for folks to exactly know what was on the property, size wise, layout wise. And it was like 2 weeks. It would take people 2 weeks to measure an HOA, another week to put together an estimate, and the proposal then goes out in a month. And we are scratching our heads like, we come from a space where you would map a city in a few days, and then it's a property. So it was very jarring to see that difference. And the weird thing was, even after we did the measurements, what you do with the numbers depends on how good your own awareness is of your operating process, like production rates. If you don't have that, no amount of measurements are going to help you get to a price. And so, like, the whole equation did not reveal itself to us the first year. We realized the second part of the equation like only a couple of years ago. That really, like, you can sell all the measurements you want, but really, it's a game of metrics and how aware the business is,
Right.
on how to run it, the operation when they're out there and servicing the property. So yeah, it's been a journey, man. I don't know if I answered your question, but like,
Yeah. No. Great. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a process.
And our reality for us as an industry is that we like to do things the old way, old fashioned, right? And I'm pretty sure you found some resistance trying to introduce this new way of do things, because it's pretty often, right? You're trying to do something new, and there is always somebody, oh, but we always did it this way for so many years, why we need to change. So what resistance do you face introducing this technology into a old school industry?
um I think a good thing about the landscaping industry is, as much as we talk about it being an old school industry, there are so many like forward looking companies who are on the lookout for solutions to uh, be on the continuous improvement loop. So in the initial days, we learned about the landscaping business from guys like from such companies who were innovating, and that unfortunately gave us a sense of pride. Like, we know how things are done. That's the right way of doing it. And
Right.
we took that pride and we went to like the next layer in the market. And pride doesn't work really well with that layer. And so we almost like hit this bottleneck. Like, of course, you can go and raise a lot of VC money and you can keep looking for innovators and you can keep showing growth. But really, like, penetration is when you are able to crack through that second layer. And pride doesn't really help with that. And so it was, I think, sometime in 2022, 2023, 24, when we got a leadership coach, a sales coach in to tell us about, you got to make sure that when you're talking to people, they're okay. Like it's not like you're threatening them, because threatening them is you're changing their way of doing things right now. It works, and they gotta feel comfortable just talking to you, exploring a possibility. Um, if you don't give them that space, you cannot uh, bring them closer to change. And the other thing he taught us was, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink.
Right.
So he basically taught us, like, you never end up selling anything. It's just people buying. Remember
Yeah.
that. And so it's like patience is probably the one thing that we've learned all these years, um, because you got to give people time to change. Even before you sell it, and especially after you sell it, like even
Right.
after you've sold it, and let's say a company decides to implement SiteRecon, you're gonna run into like so many personalities inside an organization. Like you guys, the greenery is so good at this. Like a lot of things are regimented for you. I think as an organization, uh, it surprises us how good you are at setting SOPs and having your people execute on those SOPs. Now, of course, you may not agree with me because you have a very high standard, and that keeps you on that continuous improvement loop. But yeah, that is rare, and that gives you the guardrails of very quickly implementing technology. I will not be surprised if you end up dominating Southeast in the next few years, especially because with AI coming, that is a prerequisite. If you
Right.
got structures in place, that's the platform that you can like very quickly roll out technology on.
Yeah, 100% on that. And so just kind of to summarize that process, 2020 COVID, 2020 COVID kind of start hitting or happening around the world. You have an idea, you came to the US, you met the Rainbow guys, start thinking about the landscaping and some others in the industry. You have the concept in place. You learn how to approach people, in order to sell this idea, per se, that way. How do you earn the trust now, to with the companies that are working with you guys?
Uh, I think trust is earned by showing up. Trust is earned by following through on what you promise. Trust is earned by just saying how you feel. Like if you think something is not going to work out, that that's why good qualification is important early on. Like what you're getting into, and maybe the other person is not that familiar with what you do. So you got to be looking out for them if they are making the right choice or decision or not. You've spoken to like 1,000 companies, the same conversation. They have not spoken to 1,000 takeoff companies. There are not 1,000 takeoff companies out there. Neither
Yeah.
have they spoken to 1,000 landscaping companies, for that matter. So I think it's stuff like that that builds trust. The harder part is like maintaining it, because it's not like a one-time job. You have to hold on to it, like all these promises you make early on.
Right. Awesome. Interesting. Good. Thank you for sharing that. And I would like to talk now, AI and landscaping. All right. Everywhere we go in social media, we keep hearing about AI, the future is here, all these things. But how we can use AI correctly. So, where, in your opinion, where a contractor or a company is wasting the most money today? Because probably it's not using AI system or technology right now. So where they're wasting that money, that if they probably implemented AI or technology, will be saving that money or using that money better?
I think there are two places. One place is in the sales process, where the process of lead generation seems to me is like very, very manual. Second, I think, is just visibility, like trying to know what's happening in a different part of the business and having to call people or look through systems and not being able to have answers at your fingertips. The problem with the second part is you're not sure about the state of the business, and then there's a lag between what you know right now and how long it's going to take you to find truth. And so that reduces your ability to make change and let's say get ahead of leakages, get ahead of misalignments that might be happening between how you look at a process, how someone else looks at a process. So being able to get to truth quickly is one part of it, and that's operations. And I think like just being able to get to clients at scale is also something that is very manual right now. And both of those are huge opportunities for the industry.
Awesome. Great. I would like to ask a question that many people, especially the ones with not enough knowledge about technology or AI, they always think that the AI will replace people. So, in your point of view, does AI replace people or is shaping people?
I think people like to do business with people. So that part is not going away. Now, how we end up delivering value after that handshake is where AI comes in. It's definitely going to give us a lot of freedom. We'll have more time. What we do with that time is totally up to us. And so it's gonna open up the opportunity. Whether we end up sharpening ourselves or not is totally on to us. But the opportunity is gonna be there.
I love that. Yeah.
What's your take on this?
No, I'm with you 100%. I don't feel like AI is replacing people. It's just making us better. So the option is there. It's either it's up to us to taking it or not. Like you said, we can do several things now that it will open up more time for us as a humans. Now it's on us if we're gonna use it the right way or not, right? So that's the way I see it. That's the way I'm using it. So, like everything in life, I feel like it's going to be an option for everyone, either how you're going to use it or not, or how you're going to use the time that you're going to have open, or other tools, right? For me, it's a great tool. It's another tool in the box that I'm using a lot, and finding like great results, not just to be able to have information on my, like, right away, like answers or data or whatever you want to say, but be able to produce more work, per se, that way, with less effort, kind of more simplified things, put it that way. So I just want to ask that, because every time I ask or I talk to people, they always, not everybody, right, but somebody, but AI will replace people, it's taking away our jobs. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. We wish.
Mr. We're not that dumb as humans. I tell you that.
That's true, man. So what, in your experience and your point of view, what are the smartest companies doing different now, and what is make them different from others regarding the use of technology?
Yeah, I think you guys, I was just talking about the greenery. You've been like preparing for this moment. You got systems in place, you got processes in place, you got documentation in place, you got context in place. All of that is needed to run agents. All of that, and like give these agents the right harnesses so that they don't run out of control. So I think that is like absolutely fundamental. if you have operating systems, whether you like do a green dot operating system or you have EOS, anything like that brings structure into execution and like different business verticals, is going to be super useful. Whether you use, let's say, Sandler method in sales or something like that. So all of these things that bring structure to processes, and your people having already run through that process and given some documented results for you to hand off to technology to take up and execute. Um, Companies who have been doing all of that are going to be very well placed to make use of what's available. The other part to it is having surpluses. So if you have net margins, then you will be able to deploy that into like investment in tokens and getting these AI to do what experiments for you to get to the right state of operation. You need people, again, a part of that surplus, who should have the time to invest in these things, to play around with it. Having identified such leaders who can like experiment and go out, try out new things for you, is going to be super helpful, because for most people it's going to be easy to follow. The harder part is like, oh, how do you breach the frontier of a process with something new?
Right.
And then it's like, it's possible. Yeah, that we can do it. We
Yeah.
shall overcome.
Yeah, definitely. Something that definitely the AI or the technology produce as a company or in a company is data, right? Property data. So how you think a company, a landscape company, should think about the property data? So maybe get
man.
in sales tools, operation tools. What's your opinion on that?
So this is how the industry looks at property data: measurements and a snapshot of property boundary, and some service areas where you want to mulch or you want to do mowing. But then this is a snapshot. This is a JPEG. So you got like these static assets. You got measurements and you got a snapshot. That's sort of how almost everyone looks at it. It's generated during the sales process. And that's the need. Like when you want to put it into a proposal, those are the two things you need. You need measurements and you need snapshots. But it ends up being the only way property data is being produced for most companies, which is very limiting, because if you look at that data, what you got is a digital twin of the property. That means it's a digital representation of the expectations being placed on you as a contractor, which means now you can like have, if you have the right technology in place, you can have simulations running on it. Like job planning is an example of that simulation. Where you want to start, where you want to park your truck, how you want to move around the property. You can have a mower with a sensor attached to it, let's say a robot, or even like a electric mower with a sensor attached to it. You can take the breadcrumbs from the sensor moving around the property. You can take these breadcrumbs, you can place that on the property map, and you know exactly how much time it took to mow the grass in front of the building. And now you got like a production rate distribution. It's not just what you feel, Mizraim, should be the production rate, or what I feel. Like this is data from the field, and this is across the properties that you have, across different services. So it's not like he said, she said. This is what's going on right now.
Real facts.
And exactly right. You don't have to stand there and do time studies anymore. And that's how we've historically come up with production rates, like either time studies, or we sit in a room and we agree like this is where we're gonna do our job tickets. This is where we're gonna do our estimates. These are our production rates.
Right.
Fleet tracking. Think of trucks going in the properties and leaving properties. Now, typically you would have a radius around the property, say, okay, a mile around. And if you enter that geofence, it's true, like you were at the property, but you see where I'm going with this. And then on bigger properties, the ability to know like exactly which bed has weeds in it is going to help you drive quality very, very intentionally. Otherwise, the account manager can keep going like beds have weeds, but then the crew is like, this guy always says beds have beards. But it's true, like some of them do, but most of them don't. So which one do you actually go to and address the issue? Um, and this question of where becomes like really important when you're working with communities, because they are living there. It's personal for them that the properties have to look good, but it's big. It's not a small property. So being able to like exactly solve that problem becomes a huge way to like drive retention, which then drives referrals and drives sales. So I feel, and then one last thing I felt recently is, and this is like just very, very recent, Ms. Ryan, like with some of the new things that we've been working on, access to property information. The sales process asks for it during the estimation step. But ideally, you should have it during prospecting. Because if you don't have it during prospecting, you may not be prioritizing your time properly between different properties or different relationships you want to go out and build. If you don't have it during prospecting, if a conversation starts, you won't be able to qualify them for budget early on. And that opportunity is going to sit in your pipeline and you won't know whether it's useful or not. So just some of these opportunities with property data, I think is next. And yeah, I think that whole loop is going to start again, what we were talking about before, driving change.
Interesting. And so you talk a little bit about it, but mapping. So how does a better mapping helps or do to margins? Painting the picture.
Yeah. It's, if you have 20,000 square feet of turf, it could take you anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours to do it, depending on what's like on that 20,000, what makes up 20,000 square feet. Whether you have slopes or you have parking lot islands, or you just like got a straight stretch of turf next to a power line. So knowing how it's laid out is fundamental to being able to predict how motion is going to happen on properties, even before you actually operate on it, whether you are in the sales process or you are trying to plan operations and assign hours to job tickets. I think visualization is an intuitive skill that some humans have, but not all do. It seems like a third of us do. About a quarter to a third of us do have that, like, oh, I'm going to like think through how this thing is going to play out. For the rest of us, we do need assistance. For me, for example, it's like really hard to orient myself. When I walk into a property, I don't know where I am. Like I can be looking at a top-down map and I don't know exactly where I am, unless there is a blue dot that tells me this is where I am and this is what I'm looking at. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And your point of view, Utkarsh, how should companies build operational efficiency in 2026 and beyond, based on technology or use of technology?
I think one skill that's fundamental to driving change is being able to take a process and then charting it out step by step. So you start, let's say you're talking about a handover from sales to ops. So you will, let's say, create a job package, you will set a meeting, you will call everybody in there, you will talk about these 4 things, then you will have a decision on when to go to the property, you will make sure the client shows up. This is a handover process I'm talking about, and we're going step by step. Being able to go step by step is you sort of stepping back from whatever is happening day to day, and putting awareness into something that you want to improve. I think just developing muscle memory around this skill is going to be like super useful, because what we are trying to do is like plan for change, and if everybody can like do that, then they can very intuitively be thinking about how we can get better. And then, you can make the choice between, we're going to use this tool or that tool. But if you have this muscle memory in place, then that gives you a lot of freedom to navigate whatever's happening with technology.
Awesome. Great conversation about SiteRecon, about technology, about AI, and how is changing, and it will keep changing the way we do landscape. That's a reality that we cannot overlook. That's happening, and we're gonna have to adopt. And either we like it or not, we're gonna have to do it one way or another.
For sure.
To be able to keep surviving in this industry, right? As a whole. Something that I like to talk in this podcast, Utkarsh, is about leadership as well. You know, and you are in a position of a leadership. So, how has leadership changed you? Not as a CEO, but as a human.
Um, I think the hardest thing is to when you start a company, you're pretty much doing everything yourself, and then you hire folks around you to help you out with what's going on. Um, how do you trust? And how do you build that trust? Um, how do you not have a reaction when you feel like the trust is broken? Um, the weird thing about being a CEO is you can get away with a lot of things that other people in your company cannot. So, for example, um, using cuss words. That's I'm talking about myself. And let's say not being polite with people sometimes. Let's say throwing your weight around, throwing your emotions around, being direct, being a terrorist. You could get away with all of that, and like people around you would reason like this is why it's happening. But having the control to like not do that is I think what uh, brings humanity out. It's at the end of the day, you are expected to give answers, but you don't have all the answers,
Right.
like anyone else in your company. And so the best way to get through that stress is just be real, just be human. Like this is what it is. And wearing your heart on your sleeve is always, I think, something that's helped you. It becomes so hard to lie, man. It's so hard to like put up a face, not being real, because everything else is taking up so much of your energy. If like this is something you're doing on top of it, it's a marathon. It's not gonna last. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
Awesome. And what is harder, building technology or building people?
Oh, building people for sure. Oh, for sure.
All the time.
all the time. The thing about technology is emotions aren't involved.
Yeah.
With people, what's going with them. You can see yourself in their shoes. The struggle they're going through is very, very visceral. And you cannot but empathize. And you still have this mandate to lead, and this choice between how much do I how much stress do you put on the other person's shoulder versus not? Are they ready for it or not? Like this, there's this constant thing going on. So yeah, people for sure. Like, oh my God. Hats off to our shepherd in the skies, that he doesn't stress out on it when he shepherds all of us. But man, that's oh my God.
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. It's a challenge. Moving forward into the future, Utkarsh, what does landscape look like for you in the next 5 years from now? What do you think is going to change? Is going to improve? Maybe stay the same?
For us as SiteRecon, or for
in general, SiteRecon and landscaping?
I think for SiteRecon, let me start with landscaping because it's hard to talk about SiteRecon without landscaping. Honestly, we feel like um, hardware is going to be slow to come. Software is going to be faster. In the next 5 years, probably 10 to 15% of the fleet of equipment will be smart, electric, autonomous. Some of it. So hardware is going to be slow, but software is going to get through it end to end for a lot of companies. Like all processes it would have touched, you will be able to have agents for HR, for sales, for account management, operations, finance. So these agents are like doing numbers for you, doing like a lot of back office. Agents are going to be like really good with like filing stuff into databases like CRMs, talking to each other and making sure everything is on track, making sure the humans are aligned. And so I think that is going to really eat the back office work that we end up doing as an industry, that will allow us the freedom to be outside more, to do more landscaping, to take care of plants more, who are add like very different kinds of value to the property, that as of today, only some companies are able to do because they have that surplus. But it will become a lot more common going forward. I think our role in all of that is closing the gap between landscaping and other industries in as far as pricing as an activity is concerned. In other industry, let's say, think about software. How do we price it? Like we know exactly how to price it. We will ask you how many people will use the tool. We'll ask you like how many acres you'll measure, and it's done. Like I don't need 3 days and an estimating tool to do that. I do it on a call on my phone, or probably I don't even need that. Like it's right. Obvious. And I think the next goal for us is to just make it obvious for people who are going to purchase the solution, because a lot of end clients, if you know how they like behave, to like, oh, I'm going to go after the next landscaper who cuts the price, but he's not sure about like what quality you will get in return, because it's like really hard to productize service. But if you got pricing transparency, then you can actually productize service. So that starts from knowing the property and then saying, okay, there's like type A quality, B, C, price according to it. And like if you have that menu, then you know exactly what you're paying for. And that's a contract in like visuals, not just a language on a piece of paper. Very hard to communicate as of today. And that leads to all sorts of misunderstandings and this like long gestation period in the sales cycle. While the buying choice can be far simpler, it is not. So that pricing transparency is what we want to solve next. Make it like just obvious for everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Better having a clarity of the whole picture and be able to get answers faster, per se, and more accurate.
Right now, if you want it, like if someone calls you and you want to know like, oh, here's a 20-acre property, how much it's going to cost to do it, it should be a click of a button for you. And the answer pops out in like a minute. And then you can be like, do you have the money for pay for it? Great, you do. Let me come say hi.
Yeah. Awesome. Utkarsh, before we wrap up this conversation, I have two last questions. First one, any advice from you to the younger generation coming into the landscape industry, into the technology industry? Any advice overall as a person, as a human, for our listeners out there?
I think we need to keep an eye on how much green we have on the surface of the earth if we want to keep the sky looking blue. when I travel from India to America and back, that is one thing I noticed the most as a difference on like how much good landscape, um, contributes to clean water, clean air, clean soil. Um, um, and so it's not just uh, oh, I'm looking for a job. I mean, of course we are. Like at the end of the day, we want to like take care of families. We have needs. All of that is going on, but we because we have terraformed this planet so much. I don't want to believe in this uh, future where we have to all jump on Elon Musk's rocket ships because that sucks.
Yeah.
We want to have this planet be beautiful, green, and amazing. And so I think that's what we are all building here. One property at a time, one landscape at a time. I think that's we keep our eye on that. That keeps us going.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And last but not least, when people look back at your work one day, what do you hope they say you change?
Man, that was hard. Uh, um,
How would you like to be remembered when people think about Utkarsh?
um, I I would like them to remember the good times we had together. I think that's why we are all here.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Utkarsh, for sharing that. My man, thank you so much for first of all your time and your busy agenda. Thank you for all the knowledge, all the advices, all the good things you shared with us today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Be able to get to know more about you and everything you do, and then most importantly, how everything started back in the years. I think sometimes we just saw the person now, but when you learn about where it coming from, all the struggles and everything, you kind of see the whole picture and understand better the person. And we see each others in these events and whatnot, but now kind of be able to connect better, getting to you know you better. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it to be here in the podcast today.
Mr. Brother, thank you so much for the opportunity, man. I never get the chance to reflect like that. Um, um, I I thank you for asking those questions. Um, Makes me feel grateful, and thankful for where we are, and I think just that opportunity to feel grateful, to feel that divinity is just awesome, man. Like, thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like this episode. I really, I'm truly know you're gonna enjoy it and learn more about old cars and SiteRecon and all these things we talk about the industry and technology. This is Mr. Mata. This is the Green Talk, and we'll see you everyone until the next time. Thank you.
See you guys.